Hey everyone, it's Vinyl. Today we're going to be having a bigger talk than usual. We're going to talk about the fact that I think AAA in games nowadays, I think it means absolutely nothing. I don't think AAA really matters. I don't think it means anything to me anymore when I look into games. If I hear AAA, I don't even bat an eye. I just don't. I don't care. Now this is not to say. Actually, I'm gonna go over this. This is one of my first points. People say like AAA obviously usually means polish, but recently, does it? Does it mean there's more polish? I mean, like, yeah, sure, you get a little more fancy animations, fancy graphics, and all those things, but gameplay is often buggy with AAAs, especially on release nowadays. Like, I find indie games to be more polished in their own right compared to AAAs due to just how AAAs have been functioning recently. Always buggy. There's always this problem, always this issue, and you know it's rough. Another thing is like AAA games. It's like I've played a decent few, right? And it's like, look at this is my current game library. My current game library, well, my current top tiers. These are like my favorite games, okay? Like the games that I play more than any other games in my library or like care about the most. If you look at it, there are 4 AAAs, 3 of which are Souls games. One is genuinely a bad game. I just have really good memories with it and I find it really fun. But the Jump Force does fall into the trap of being a bad, like a problematic AAA. But to me, AAA barely means anything. Like, sure, it means it may have more content. Sure, it means it's going to do this or have this. Like, it may have a little bit smoother gameplay. It may be able to run on more things. But to me, it barely means anything, just due to the little polish that most AAA games receive. The fact that AAA games are so expensive and often don't even give you the full game anymore. That's another thing. Like, most AAA games are becoming live service or like games that have a constant flux of DLCs and cosmetics to buy. There's all the games in this video. You buy them and they're done. You buy them and that's everything. At least I'm pretty sure. I don't remember. Let me recount. Yeah. The games that I play in this video, not a single one gives you more content after you buy it. Other than Gloomwood and INCISION are currently being updated, and so is Lethal Company. But it gives you all of the content. No DLCs, no paid cosmetics, nothing. You get all of the content that the game is attempting to offer you at the very start. Now, sure, it may not have overarching story with tons of cutscenes, but for me, that doesn't matter. What matters is I'm having fun and I'm enjoying what I'm doing. And even then, some of these games have good stories, like especially like Ultrakill. I don't know much about Ultrakill, but I have a friend that's a big Ultrakill nerd, and he loves it. Like, and he doesn't. I don't know how much he knows about the story, but from my knowledge, it has pretty deep lore. INCISION, even just playing INCISION every now and again, great lore. Like it tells you things. It looks interesting. Things matter. Gloomwood is obviously a more story-focused game. In its own way. I wouldn't necessarily call it the most story-focused game, but it clearly has some story focus due to its nature. Lethal Company. Man, the lore in Lethal Company is sick. I love Lethal Company's lore. Another game, I don't feature it in this video. I actually recorded a decent bit of this footage today. But another game, Risk of Rain. The whole Risk of Rain series, it's been handed off to a AAA developer now. And I'm really hoping that we get cool stuff and they don't go down the rabbit hole that they really could go down with Risk of Rain of like what AAA has been meaning recently. But Risk of Rain, phenomenal story. The lore is great. You just have to look into it. If you want to know about it, you look into it yourself. It's not force-fed to you. The game is all gameplay, straight gas, unless you want the story. And if you want the story, get your items, get your lore, beat the game with your characters, beat the game a lot to try and get Providence's lore log, like beat the game way too many times to get Providence's lore log. But still, the point is, you can find the story if you want the story.
Wait, there's a game.
Dark Souls is a AAA game that
There's another big
is pretty much the same kind of vein as Risk of Rain. the story is hidden. Mostly, it's mostly a hidden story. It's not sat right in your face, and you have to find the story out yourself by looking through lore and logs. And sure, there is a story for Risk of Rain, and there is a story for Dark Souls very early. You get a very simple task, and you go and do that task. And if you want to learn more about the world, more about the story of certain characters, that's it. You can do that. But Dark Souls and Risk of Rain are similar in that fashion. And Dark Souls has a super heavy gameplay focus, and it still has great story. Dark Souls makes you, feel some type of way most of the time when you beat the game. But I don't know. I just haven't been finding, like, people will be like, oh, AAA game, and I just don't care. Obviously, this may be an entire opinion, but AAA polish barely means anything. Games come out buggy. Saying it's AAA, so it's going to have more content, isn't necessarily true. Sometimes it says we buy a AAA game for $80, and there's already a bunch of $20, $30, $10, $5 cosmetics to buy. And sure, you could say, oh, but that's not content. It is. They could have turned it into content. We could have had what we used to get with, like, oh, you get a certain rank, you get this content, or, like, they could have added something where you search and you find content. Even, like, fucking, this is crazy, but even, like, Skylanders, if you go to Imaginators, like, you could pay for it, which is, a thing, but it's problematic. But if you went around, you could find fucking loot boxes of different pieces for your Imaginator just around the map. That's awesome. Like, why don't, like, I'd love more things like that, where I get all the content, I get all the customization options, I get everything, but I don't have to pay for anything other than the game. DLCs I treat a little differently depending on the DLC. For example, like Dark Souls DLCs, people consider Dark Souls DLCs sometimes the best part of the game, just because they really go hard on DLCs, man. They don't sleep on their DLCs. So I gotta say, like, I do give a pass to some DLCs, but if you're announcing DLCs at launch, for example, Jujutsu Kaisen Curse Clash, I'm super excited about that game. Even if the game sucks, I'm still gonna buy it like an idiot. But speaking of it, like, the game doesn't even look like the greatest, most polished fighter I've ever seen. Like, it does look fun, in my opinion. It's definitely not gonna be for everybody. I think it's gonna have its issues, but like, I am excited, but like, sometimes the game just looks weird. Obviously, it's in development stages and stuff, but like, sometimes the game doesn't look like the greatest Jujutsu Kaisen game that's ever going to be released. It's another arena fighter, pretty copy and paste, and they've already announced DLCs. I find that problematic. I wish they had just released a bigger roster at launch and maybe released DLC characters later. And I know they're following the anime, but the anime has a lot of characters they could be dropping in. With the most recent one, I mean, some people will probably like it, but Ezo and Kechisu, two characters that I think showed up for maybe 3 episodes each, like before they they're in the game when they could have given us Toji, or they could have announced Yuta, or they could have announced so many different characters, but that's who we got, right? It feels like that was like a throw-in because they needed more characters, and that's an easy character for them to do. I don't know, maybe I'm a dick, but in my opinion, that's at least what I'm seeing. But having, like, season passes announced at launch, this announced at launch, that announced at launch, I think it's dumb. I'd rather just earn stuff, or like, wait like a year, and when the game's slowly dying down, oh, look at this, we got a DLC coming up for you guys. That's fine. Obviously don't overcost DLC, but I just think it's sad that we have to pay so much for some of the stuff we want to have in games. I really don't think AAA means anything. Like, not anymore. Like, sure, it means it'll have those fancy graphics, but does that, like, that locks it off from more people? I think that lets less people play the game. Obviously, I don't really know if I said that much. I forgot what I've said for most of this video. It was kind of a yap sesh. But, like, just to finish off, like, AAA, to me, doesn't mean much due to its nature to not give you all the content, yet cost more, like much, much, much more than other games. And also, polish doesn't really mean anything when we have games like Destiny dropping a bunch of buggy messes and things like Avengers too. But I'm going to leave this video here. I really do appreciate you guys watching another video of me just yapping about games again. I had a lot of fun this time, and I will see you guys in the next video. All the games that I've played will be in the description. Have a good one.